Let's take a look at one of the most exciting new tools added to Photoshop CS6. If you click and hold for 2 seconds, or right-click on the Spot Healing Brush tool, the one that looks like a Band-Aid, you will see nested underneath identifies tools that you can choose. There is a new one called Content Aware of Move. When I select Content Aware Move, I am going to use my mouse to click and drag and create a rough selection around this couple. My goal with the selection is to pick them up and move them to the left side of the image. Now, in the past, I might have used the cloning stamp tool to do this. With the cloning stamp tool, it's a lot of work to pick portions of the mountain to cover them up, and I would probably need to jump them and copy them into a new layer to be able to move that. With this tool, once you let go, all you do is get anywhere inside the marching ants, the selected area, click and drag, and move them to the new desired location. You even get a little indicator telling you how far left and right you have moved it. I have moved roughly, but I haven't moved up and down at all. Now I'd let go, a very sophisticated algorithm kicks in, figuring out how to clone away from where they were and blend them to the new spot we're attracted. Outstanding! I am going to choose Select, Deselect, and only the most trained eye would see any evidence that I have moved them in this original photo. Now there is more cleanup work you can do, but for now that did an excellent job. So let's take a look at a harder image. I am going to select this green dress photo, and before I jump in to make my move, I am going to explain why I want to move myself to the right side of the shot. If you click on the Crop tool and simply touch one of the handles that would let you crop, you will see it kicks in the rule of thirds guide that was added in Photoshop CS5. Now, any trained photographer knows to keep an eye on the rule of thirds when shooting to create more interesting or compelling shots. If you look back at your childhood photos, unless your parent was a photographer, you will notice they probably made their best attempts to perfectly center you or your siblings in every shot. That doesn't create interesting images. Well, depending on what you are doing, but looking at this ideally, face should be at the intersection of this 9-slice guide, or what they call a PowerPoint. That draws the viewer's eye to the interesting subject or spot. Another great spot is down here in the lower left or upper left. So, having said that, I will go back to the Content Aware Move. I won't crop the image because I was only using it to show you those guys. I will click and drag, making a rough selection, trying not to get too close to the object I am moving. Starting back where I began, so I choose how to close that selection and then clicking and dragging till my feet almost touch the edge of the photo. When I let go, again that very sophisticated algorithm kicks in, analyzes where I was, closes me out, and then repositions me and blends me into the background that was there. Let's see how this tool does. Very well. With the exception of my arm, it looks like the flower is a kind of creeping over the edge arm, and I have got a little grass here, but that's easy enough to fix. So I will undo that, or step backward, and this time, instead using the medium adaptation, meaning just roughly try to keep the object intact. I will either try strict or very strict. If I try strict or very strict and move. Photoshop does a more complex analysis, attempting to keep the object you are moving intact. I don't mind this progress bar in analyzing so much because this is saving me hours of time that I used to use on the cloning stamp tool to accomplish image movement like this, and my arm is perfectly intact. I got a little bit of oddness here, but I will show you how to fix it. Everything else looks perfect. Here is my favorite tool to repair or disguise image edit, the Patch tool. I also called this the anti-aging tool because it wipes out dark circles under the eyes, wrinkles, cross feet, double chins, in some cases moles, blemishes, but I am going to use this to repair the grass, and what I can do is decide that I want to select this grass. The algorithm chose that part of the image to repair where I was and replace it. When I let go, Photoshop will do a contrast adjust, putting those flowers in that position. There's lots of different ways to go about this, but let's try the patch tool on this tape that's in the plants. Being very careful, just around the dress, and I will drag up slightly, seeing in this portion of the image to repair that. You can also move left and right, but my goal is to try to keep these fairly aligned. I let go and it blends. Both of those tools were based on, well, actually, the new Content Aware Move tool was based on the technology of the patch, and the Content Aware Fill tool was based on the technology of the patch. So I can keep patching to repair any small image areas, but I think it's been great, with the exception of this. If I go to the History Brush tool, the History Brush always paints back the original, and earlier I was on a large brush, so we will aim for a brush size somewhere in the 40s. Any number between 40 and 50 is fine. You simply click the arrow here and dial your size, and then I will click away and hit Command plus or Control plus to zoom in, and all I am going to do is paint close to the hair. The History Brush reveals the original flowers that were there. And if I hit Command 0 or Control 0 to fit in window, no one would know that I completely move myself in the shot. And now it's a far more compelling and interesting shot. Take some time and see if you can experiment with the new Content Aware Move with images of your own. Do some cleanup with the Patch tool and bring back original parts of the image with the History Brush tool. Good luck!